Hi, this is Sanjana from Mockat. With the CAT 2023 notification having come out and the registration being just around the corner, CAT 2023 has probably become very real to a lot of you. And one question which runs in the mind of a lot of people who have hectic work is, can I balance my work with CAT prep, or should I quit my job and prepare for CAT full time? Now, this is not an area where I am an expert. I was in my final year of college when I took CAT and got into IIM Lucknow. But even if I had worked, I don't think that there's just one right answer. Different people have different situations, different scenarios, where you are in your CAT prep, how much work ahead, what are your goals, your aims, what is your situation. It all depends on all of these. So I don't have a concrete yes or no answer in this video for you. What I do have are some questions which should probably help you to figure out whether you should quit or you should continue your work. And if you have to continue, what are some ways in which you can maximize your CAT prep? So to start with, let's look at what are the potential benefits if we do end up quitting our job. Now, the first thing is, of course, it gives us a substantial time for CAT prep. We are able to prepare full time. We'll be able to go through lessons, attend classes, practice questions, take mocks, analyze them, brush up on current affairs for the interview, and so on. That can be a smart thing to do because for most institutes, the highest weightage for your shortlisting is your CAT score, and that's typically considered in your final selection as well. And your personal interview score again carries a substantial weightage for your final selection. There are also institutes where your aptitude exam score is all they consider, whether it is CAT or ZAT, SNAP, and so on. So by quitting, you could be prioritizing those aspects like your CAT exam prep, your PI prep, which typically carry a higher weightage than your work experience for your composite score for shortlisting or your final selection. It could also increase your motivation. If you are in college or you are working, it's not that CAT 2023 is the be all and end all. Sometimes we do tend to procrastinate because at the back of our mind, we know that we can also prepare next year. But if you have quit your job, then you sort of burnt your bridges and it will probably push you to prepare more. By prepare more, I don't mean that you are preparing 24/7. CAT's not that difficult an exam. It's not something where you need to memorize a lot or something like that. It's much more logical. But of course, we have preparation, we have practice questions, we have mocks and analysis. So if this is sort of your only option, it should definitely motivate you a lot more to prepare well. And if you are putting in the best preparation, then you also end up getting a really high percentile, acing your VAT, your PI, and getting a high percentile and getting into a top institute. Even within a top institute, having a higher percentile than average is something which is going to be beneficial because your percentile is also something which will stay with you. And of course, the B school that you are going to study, that you're going to graduate from, is definitely going to stay with you pretty much for the rest of your life. Now let's look at what are the cons. What are the issues that you might face if you quit, or what are the factors which might push you to continue? Now, the first and the most evident, of course, is if you're quitting, you're not going to be paid salary. This could be a situation which is not manageable for you. Even if it's something which is manageable, let's say, you can take the help of your parents, there's a different feel if we are responsible and we are earning money and we are working for ourselves, right? So that's definitely something to consider. It could also increase your stress. Just as there's a potential to increase motivation, the flip side is, oh my God, I've quit. That's it. I have only this much time. I've got to take CAT 2023. I've got to do well. That's something which might stress you out during the preparation. And more importantly, it could also stress you out during the CAT exam. And you don't give your best in an exam like CAT if you are stressed. So this is definitely something to be mindful of. It's also a potential question which the interviewers will ask you. There will be a bit of a gap in your CV. So they're definitely going to ask you why you quit. Now, if you have a really good percentile and you have a good explanation that I was not able to balance my work and my CAT prep and I wanted to get into the best institute that I could, I wanted to get a really high percentile. So I thought that I'll bet on myself and I will take a few months off to prepare full time for CAT. That is something which will convince them, provided you've got a really good percentile. Having said that, it's definitely a question which will come up. Another issue is, because of the stress, you'll also start thinking that this is your last chance. If you are working, then you always have CAT 2024 as an option in case CAT 2023 doesn't go as well as you had hoped. But if you've quit, a lot of times what happens is we are like, that's it, whatever B school we get accepted from, we end up sometimes settling for that. So that's another con, and that again becomes really important because the B school that you study in, that's something where the experience that you get and just having that B school in your CV, these are things which will stay with you for the rest of your corporate life. So now that we've looked at what are the positives and the potential negatives of quitting, what is it that we can do to make the right decision? So here are a few questions that you can ask yourself, which is based on your own situation, your own preparation, and hopefully the answers to these will help you decide on this important question. So the first one is, of course, how important is the salary for you? If this is something which is not manageable, you cannot think of quitting, then it's really not an option, and probably you should move on to the next slide where I'm going to give you some suggestions as to how you can balance your work and your prep. These solutions will also work for you if you are a college student with a hectic schedule. The next thing to ask yourself is, irrespective of the salary, how beneficial is the work experience itself? Is it something which is relevant to the type of work that you're hoping to do after your MBA? Is your boss a mentor, or are you surrounded with colleagues where you're learning a lot from them? Even working within teams, taking up projects, facing challenges, these are all things which really shape us as individuals, and these are also good talking points for the interviews. So if you're having the time of your life or you're learning a lot at your job, it's probably something that you'd not choose to quit. Also ask yourself honestly, how hectic is the work? Is it really like a 6 or 7 day work, very hectic, highly stressful, maybe a sales role with a lot of targets, or something where you're doing a lot of mindless work over and over, or the work is just tiring? Or is it something where you're working 5 days, you have the weekend, you have a few hours before or after your job, and you can really balance your cat prep? So look at your work realistically. See how much time you do have. So if you push yourself, maybe you reduce your sleep by 1 hour, maybe you stop hanging out with your friends or Netflix and chill for some time. Then, looking at how much of your cat prep is left and how much time you have, make a realistic calculation of, can you actually balance both? If the answer to that question is no, my work is really hectic and I don't think I can manage both, can you take a sabbatical? A lot of companies allow employees to take 1, 2, or 3 month breaks. A lot of time these breaks are without pay, but it is a break as opposed to quitting the job. So maybe that is an option that your company has that you could explore, and you can talk honestly to your manager and figure this bit out. The last thing is related to what we had discussed earlier. If you do quit, will that stress you out a lot or will that motivate you? If it stresses you out a lot, particularly during the exam, then that might not be the right thing to do. So try and find the answer to all of these questions, and hopefully that helps you to answer the question of, should you quit and prep full time, or can you balance your work and your cat prep? Now, in case you cannot quit, or for whatever reason you're choosing not to quit, here are some ways in which you can balance your cat prep as well as your work. This will work for you if you're working or if you're a college student with a hectic schedule. So the first thing, and this I think is evident to everybody, prep around your work timing. So this will include your weekends or your holidays, morning before work, or night after your work. At Mockat, for example, our live classes are at 8:30 in the evenings, and for most people, this is something which they can manage. These are online classes, so a lot of people are able to get back from work or just log into the class if they are working from home and manage it. You also need to prep smart, especially if you're starting your prep now or you've just started it some time back and there's plenty of prep left. Focus on the key topics. I've just shot a video where I've given a 4 month prep schedule where we've prioritized some of the key lessons. So I'll link that video for you and also pin it in the description so that you can go through that and make sure that you are prioritizing those topics where you get the maximum questions from. Another thing which is often missed out is you could prep during your commute, you could prep during your breaks at work. When we are going to work, it's not that we are working continuously for 8, 10, or 12, or even 16 hours, right? We are going to have lunch breaks, coffee breaks. Now, like, you might not be able to work out problems, but can you read the reading link from our Telegram channel during a coffee break, or during your commute to and from work? Of course you can. Can you maybe listen to some of the lessons and just sort of rework some of the formulae or something like that? You could definitely do all of this. We've had many students who've been able to do that, where they've been reading the articles or reading the news or just rehashing formulae, whether they are taking breaks at work, whether they are in the gym or during their commute itself. So it's definitely something that you should try out. You can also leverage all the holidays that you have. If you have some measure of annual leave, 5, 10, 15 days, whatever it is, try to take that closer to CAT. Take maybe a few days off over the next 2, 3 months and look to take some longer break just before CAT so that you're preparing well. Sabbaticals we've already spoken about. Try and see if that is something which you have as well. And lastly, definitely sign up for the other exams like SAT, SNAP, and so on, all of which tend to occur 1 or 2 months after CAT. So CAT's on November 26th, but SAT is expected to be on Jan 7th. SNAP will probably be in December and Jan. So that way, you're getting a few weeks extra to prepare for these exams, and the syllabus is about 80 to 90% similar. And the exams that I'm speaking of are all exams where you're getting to the top 10 or the top 20 B schools. So this is definitely a must do for you. Make sure that you're signing up for other national level MBA entrance tests or the important MBA entrance tests. And that way you actually increase the time that you have to prepare. And the good thing which happens is, for a lot of us, December, particularly the Christmas time, is when there are a lot of leaves, or the work itself is not that hectic. So you might find that you actually are able to give considerable amount of time to prepare for these exams. So hopefully now you're able to solve that conundrum of should you quit or not, and hopefully these solutions also help you out. So all the best for your CAT prep.